like to just say is one of my, okay, all right. He is one my favorite House of Representative person.
Well, thank
And,
you.
I was thinking today, Mark, I remember the first time I think I ever heard you speak. It was so long ago. It was at UCR, and you and I think it was John Tavoloni were debating. Is that the
Yeah,
right person?
I remember that room. It was a
Big,
big
huge
room.
room. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
it was
That's
at
the first time I ever heard you speak. So you've been doing this for a long time. And so Mark represents Riverside, Moreno Valley, Paris, and the Rubla Valley. He is the chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee and a member of the House Committee on Education and Labor. He is co-chair of the Equality Caucus and vice chair of the Progressive Caucus and the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, and he's has several other caucuses that he started. But one of the things that I like the most about Mark is that I know he's committed to his constituency and to the people of this area, and he demonstrates that in his actions. And so we greatly appreciate you, Mark, and thank you for taking the time to be with us. And now I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark.
Well, thank you, Freya. And I see a lot of people on the call that I haven't seen in quite a while. I see Carrie and Barbara. Linda, I was wondering how you and Irv are doing. And so, hi, Linda. That's
Hi.
good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you, Mark.
And I just saw Regina earlier today at lunch. And
Yes.
Melba, hello to you. Marilyn, hello to you. And hello to all the people who might be joining us later. But let me just say very briefly that it's been 10 years since that debate with John Tavoloni. It's hard to believe 10 years goes by, but I think all of us understand how quickly time goes by, and we wonder where to go. And but I can tell you, in this past 2 years, as the chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, I have been able to do far more than I ever thought I would be able to do. And just this summer, and while I was traveling with Nancy Pelosi on a very, very sort of discreet, understated trip to Taiwan. I'm just joking there, but Marilyn got it. She was she got what I was saying. The U.S. Senate finally got its act together and passed the Honoring Our Pact Act, which was the big veterans bill that Jon Stewart was involved in, that we had veterans camping out on the Senate steps over. And many people may not realize that actually was my bill. It was the bill that I wrote with my staff, and it is a bill that expanded healthcare, made eligible 3.5 million veterans to get healthcare from the VA who were exposed to toxic burn pits. We declared 23 presumptive illnesses connected with burn pits, and many other cohorts of veterans that were exposed to toxic substances were also taken care of. So I am very proud of that achievement. It is something I could not have done without a Democratic majority, a Democratic president, and a determined veterans community. And it just showed what organizing and building alliances could do. Now, there's so much more that's been done. I mean, I just learned that the Riverside Unified School District totaled up the amount of money that got spent on improving their air conditioning systems, their air quality systems. As you know, the American Rescue Plan included a lot of dollars for school districts across the country to improve their ventilation in order to reduce the risk of infections from respiratory illnesses, airborne illnesses. And $11 million got spent out of the ESSER funding alone in Riverside Unified School District. And the other superintendents haven't gotten me their numbers yet, but that is definitely something that is just a small part of that $1.9 trillion bill to rescue Americans from the pandemic. And a lot got done and a lot isn't talked about, but that's one of the things that locally benefited everyone, in addition to the refundable child tax credit that benefited low-income families and really kept food on the table for many of these families when they were having difficulty working during the worst parts of our pandemic. So I'm very proud of that work. And but let me just say that I got a taste of what 2 years of being in the majority could do with a president. I was 2 years in the majority without a president. I was 2 years, I was a chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee for 2 years under Donald Trump. We still got some things done, but we got way, way more done with a Democratic president and a Democratic Senate. What I ask of all of you is to not lose heart. Don't believe all of the beginning of doom and gloom for this next 3 weeks. The Democrats are very much in contention for holding the House majority. The polling is very close. We're being outspent with dark money everywhere, but a lot of our incumbents have raised a lot of money and have it in their campaign accounts and are well able to defend themselves. But the extent to which you are involved in writing postcards, you're involved in phone banking, get involved with a campaign these last 3 weeks, reaching out to, now look, we have a campaign right next door to us for the Congress. His name was Will Rollins. He's challenging an old friend of mine, Ken Calvert. I'm joking. But Will is an amazing young man. He's an amazing candidate. Get involved somehow. Some parts of my district, like the fringes of La Sierra, I've lost some people have called up and angry, not at me, but they're angry. Nobody told me that I've been put into Ken Calvert's district. And I said, well, I'm sorry that's happened, but what you can do is that you can be part of the victory efforts for Will Rollins. And you can be part of the reason why we hold on to the majority. We need to flip a few Republican seats. And Will, if you haven't seen the amazing ads that he's put out, but he's bringing up something that never, ever was able to get brought up by Bill Hedrick, because Bill Hedrick didn't have the money to do it in 2008 and 2010. He's bringing up the Fox TV expose. Fox News actually did an expose on corruption and documents how my erstwhile friend got $20 million richer while in office. And Will Rollins, as you know, is a former federal prosecutor. And he says at the end of the ad, I prosecuted corruption and fraud, and I will not tolerate it as your congressman. So look, make a few phone calls to him. There are people that live, you probably have friends and friends of friends. Mm-hmm. This election could be won by just a few hundred votes. Of course, don't forget to vote for me. Don't forget to do that. Don't forget to do that. Get everyone out to vote.
Oh, we're not going to forget that, Mark.
But I'm going to be out helping Will. I'm helping Jay Chen beat Michelle Steele. And Christy Smith is another candidate that I think is going to beat this guy Garcia out in the Simi Valley. And so I'm really high on her. And I think we're going to flip a couple of seats in the Central Valley. We're going to flip potentially 4 or 5 seats here in California. And if we do that, we are in strong contention to hold the House. So I want you to know that. So,
Mark, are you with Fazia Rizvi tonight?
I am with Fazia. I'm going to go and, tell Fazia that and all their supporters.
Yes, we love her.
Godspeed, success. I believe they're going to be successful. And you know what? I want to tell you a couple more things. You all heard about this amazing victory we had in Alaska with Mary Petrola.
Yes.
Mary is an amazing story. Who would have thought this election year that we would win a special election in the state of Alaska? Truly, truly amazing. But it's not all that amazing when you think about how extreme the whole Republican enterprise is, from the judges they put on the Supreme Court to the extreme positions they've taken in Congress on a woman's right to choose. It's not surprising that the people of Alaska would defy expectations. And I want to let you know that as soon as she won office, I got my staff together. I said, let's make her successful, for re-election. And I said, is there any legislation she can carry that will help Alaska? And I want you to know the first bill that Mary passed in her congressional career was a bill from my committee. We prepared some legislation that she could carry. So the very first legislation that Mary passed in the House of Representatives was a veterans bill. And I'm very, very proud that we were doing that. So, so anyway, let me just say, as soon as you're done with your meeting, I think schedule some time out in your time, find a local campaign like Will Rollins or Jay Chen or Fausia. You help Fausia, you're also going to help Will for the most part. Yeah, they share a lot of the same district.
They do.
So here's the thing. We are ahead. Fox News poll did a poll like 2 or 3 days ago, and they asked people nationwide, would you prefer a Democrat or a Republican? And Fox News itself is terrible.
Right.
Fox News is a lot of fakery, but the Fox News polling is actually pretty honest. They actually do pretty good polling. And so the polling showed that among registered voters, all of the voters are registered, that people preferred Democrats by about 4 percentage points. Now the Siena polling, they asked likely voters. Now, how you define a likely voter is an art form, but generally it involves asking, do you plan to vote on November 8th? And if the person they're calling up who's answering the pollster calls up the survey researcher, if they answer yes to that question, they're a likely voter. If they say, well, maybe, then they're not a likely voter. Or if they say no, they're not a likely voter. But Fox was able to ask voters, the unscreened voters, how they would vote. And their universe of voters, their polling samples said that Democrats are more popular. Now, the Siena poll showed likely voters favoring Republicans by about 4 points. Democrats were behind. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the support is out there for Democrats to win. Our voters just need more motivation. They need to believe they can win. And it's no coincidence that right now there are stories out there, doesn't look great. Polling starting to shift toward Republicans. That's also a result of just the dark money that is beginning to muddy the waters. So you've got to look past the muddy in the waters, and you've got to be that beacon of certainty for those Democrats that are kind of meh, I might vote. You've got to just get on the phone with them and tell them, make sure you vote. And it will make a difference. And you got to get them to believe it. And even if they don't believe it, just say, just vote for the Democrats. Just go out there and vote for the Democrats. So if there's anything, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to be, the next several days, I'm going to go everywhere I can to bolster Democratic motivation and motivate them to vote. I'm raising money still. I'm raising money. Oh, by the way, I've got an event this Saturday from 5 to 7 in Canyon Crest. I might not have heard about it, but 5 to 7 is $25 is the minimum. If you can do more, tell your friends about it. But I've got a Canyon Crest event. You can reach Charlie, my campaign, well, he's my political director and my finance director, but he can be reached at 315, I'm going to put it into the chat here, 315 573 3373. And I put Charlie, why can't I get the L in it? Charlie Bell. He pronounces it Bell. Looks like Beal, but it's pronounced Bell. So 315-573-3373. Ask him about the event that we're doing. I know that Regina is going to be off in Catalina with her husband. Goes on in Catalina, stays in Catalina. I'm not going to like. About that. All right. I got to go and attend to Fauzia, but
do you have any time?
Come to my event. Come to my event.
Mark, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? I have one.
Okay.
I just have one. Mine is, do you think there's any hope for amending or doing something with healthcare?
In what way?
You know, I think at the beginning of the year, everyone was talking about having a more comprehensive health plans, you know, where it include dental and vision, and they weren't, you know, having
aids.
What?
Well, here's my answer to that. Here's my answer to that. Because we don't have a 60 votes in the Senate, that has been a real impediment, trying to get a more robust health plan. But you know what? Never have I seen the filibuster more criticized in the last 2 years. And that we have 2 senators that weren't willing to budge. There's probably a couple more that aren't saying much, but you know, there are 2 senators that were a real problem in terms of getting our reconciliation bills done. But the truth is, the filibuster can be undone with a majority vote. It doesn't take 60 votes to change the rules of the Senate to operate on a strict majority vote. And imagine what would be possible then.
Oh, yeah.
If, and look, the other way to look at this is that the Democrats in the House, we only had like a 5 vote margin, a 6 vote margin. We didn't have a huge majority. We were remarkably united in the House of Representatives.
Yes.
We passed very robust reconciliation bills, right? Our first Build Back Better bill was very robust. We included so much for childcare. Childcare was a huge component of that bill. I had way more things in there for veterans. And what held it up were 2 senators that didn't want to just pass the Build Back Better bill on a strict majority vote under the reconciliation rules. On the reconciliation rules. But to do the kinds of things you're talking about, Freya, would require us to go outside of reconciliation and take on more extensive policy changes. Right. And for that, we would need to have the filibuster for the supermajority we need. We need to change that rule. That rule could be changed. It could be changed with a majority of senators saying we're not going to abide by that anymore. And if we did that, the answer is yes.
Okay.
So what I tell people is, give me back my gavel for another 2 years and give me two more senators, two more Democratic senators, right? And we will move the universe again.
All right.
All right.
Good.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for coming and chatting.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What?
I'm still not